Really recommend it. I used my Old Navy card.
Mm-hmm.
So I got like a super discount. This episode is brought to you by Old Navy, folks.
That's pretty good. Oh, John, I'm going to text you a Patreon.
Really recommend it. I used my Old Navy card.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my sweet Jesus! So I got like a super discount.
Why am I hearing myself?
By Old Navy, folks.
Well, that's pretty good. Oh, all right. So can you mute the YouTube, John? Hey, if anyone's watching on our attempted...
Didn't know. This is so weird because now I'm hearing you. How do I mute? I don't understand. I'm not watching YouTube.
Okay, you're still hearing an echo or no?
I occasionally hear an echo. It does say live on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So the viewers, anyone that happens to be watching, can watch me fuddle around like a fucking Steve.
Like a putz. Well, they know. I don't think anyone's going to be that surprised. John, it is hot here. You're in a velour jumpsuit, you say?
Yeah, we keep it kind of chilly in here a little bit. It does get to a point where I have to take off the shirt sometimes.
Good. Fingers crossed. We'll watch. Oh, I'm sorry. The YouTube numbers just went through the fucking roof when you mentioned your shirt.
My shirt coming off?
Yeah. Let me. I'm gonna text you the name of a new Patreon to shout out, John. We'll each shout out a couple.
Okay.
So. Nope. The second part of that is wrong. It auto-corrected. Jesus. There we go. Hey, if anyone's watching on YouTube on our test episode, on our test stream, thank you for joining us, friends. That's nice.
Well, you'll be able to tell your grandkids you were there for the first YouTube live stream.
The first, I did officially name it attempt because, who's to say if anything works. So yeah, let me tell me what else is new with you this week, John. Jamie and I watched the game show you're writing for now.
Oh wow. Okay.
Your name wasn't in the credits yet, but
no, because this is season 2. They did get nominated for Writers Guild Awards, the season 2 staff, which is like exciting for them. And I guess, hopefully that momentum continues under the season 3 or whatever. But but that is that's cool. But yeah, that's still chugging along. We're still got our hands full because we don't have any relief for childcare because of some exposure.
Some personnel issues locally.
Some local personnel issues, but that's fine. Everyone seems to be in perfectly fine health. And it's just it's kind of sucks for her too, because she's just I'm bored. I'd like to play with my grandchildren or whatever, but it's it's super sucks because it's you should be able to. You're probably fine. It's been 4 or 5 days now, but I think the marching orders now are wait 7 days, which to me is man, if you had the bug, I mean, you're waiting about, is it what is it, 7 days? It's weird that it's 2 years in and I don't know exactly what we're supposed to do.
No, because everyone quit. It's fine. Everything's over. But I will once we start in a second here, I'll ask what you're drinking, of course. But what's that cup, John? Can you show me what is this a new mug?
I've actually had this mug for a little. I got this right before the start of the pandemic because I got this
at cursed.
It's cursed. It is cursed because I got it at a little thing we call Gastrofest.
It's what I call my pants every day.
Gastrofest was in February of 2020. Kristen and I and Lark went to go visit her friend Meg in upstate. And it was COVID was in the news, but it was not in America yet. But Lark was throwing up a lot while we were there. And we were maybe as soon as we showed up there, it was maybe she's car sick. Maybe she's just got car sick or whatever. But that was gross. And then it was for a kind of a long weekend. And then by the last day, I was throwing up in a big way. And that was well, maybe I'm just sick from being drunk or whatever.
Typical. Yeah.
And we were there with 2 of her friends and then her lady friends or whatever. And those lady friends had boyfriends and everyone sort of like, especially the boyfriends are like, so do you like normally get sick after a night of drinking? Is this because like the virus, like talk of the virus had started, but not like, and it's like,
so no, you're like a barf all the time guy or what?
Are you like a total wasteoid or?
Yeah. And
I wasn't, and I ended up going to the emergency room for like the first time in my life. Kristen took me and Lark. She took us both. And I was just like, I'm holding a bag of vomit. I'm carrying it into the hospital. I'm like, something's wrong with me.
Oh, yes, I remember that. So that's what brought us this cup. This cup happened right beforehand, correct?
Yes. So the friend we were visiting had this, and I was like enamored with it. And I drank out of it the whole weekend, and she's just like, just take it. Because like she's like a cool hippie type lady. Yeah. She's in
everything belongs to everybody.
Yeah. And now this cup specifically belongs to me. And no one else can have it or drink from it.
I own it. I do believe in personal property. And it will continue as such. John, any business before we get into it? Start doing this fucking thing.
I had a thought.
Yeah,
that maybe one of these times we could do one where like I don't watch the episode and you watch the episode and you kind of tell me what goes on. I mean, like that's just one example.
You were trying to do less, John, with 2 episodes left in this fucking thing. John's like, can I be a little lazier?
We could flip it. I would love to tell you what happens in the episode.
I would love for you to tell me about the birds and the bees and everything in life. Honestly, and John, before we get into this episode, I have to ask permission real quick.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
This is the excuse me while I whip this out episode, if there ever was one. Hey, everybody, welcome to Sex and the City. My name's Kevin McCaffrey, and I'm here with your boy,
Johnny Penis Cancer Daily.
Johnny, Colin 55 thinks he's hot. I'll tell you that much. Johnny P. Cancer Daily. How are you, John?
I'm good. I've got my velour sweatsuit on. I just showered. This is like, I'm the cleanest I'm ever going to be right now. It doesn't get cleaner than this.
You look clean. You look, you have a very youthful face too. So I think it looks like I wear my age in my face. I think there's a lot of like creaks and crags and
yes.
And I think you look like a man. I know this isn't the case because I know you, but you look like a man who's never felt a day of stress in your life. And I know that's not true, but that's good for your face. So
thank you.
You're welcome. So, and you guys are welcome for joining us. Thanks. You're welcome here. Thanks for we're hanging out just to let the listeners know we're doing a little test of a live stream on YouTube, which maybe is something we're going to do for our Patreon friends going forward. But tonight it's whoever can find the YouTube page that we really only use for Patreon videos anyway. But John, can you tell people where they can find us on Patreon first of all?
They can look up Kevin and John on Patreon.
They probably can. Patreon.com/Kevin and John will get you there, get you bonus episodes, live streams, and live hangouts once a month for sure. And John, can we shout out some new Patreon friends? It's been a while since we've done that. So let's pick 4 out of the hat and let's do it. You kick me off.
I got IP Freely. Kevin, that's not a real name.
It's fucking Bart Simpson doing Patreon. Is
you
he
son of a bitch. Yeah. You made me look like a fool.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. My girl, Maddie J, which is a cool name, I think.
It is a cool name.
Is that like, I would love to like be that cool personally. If I went by like Johnny D, I guess some people call me Johnny D, but I'm not cool enough to call myself Johnny D.
You say that, but also if anyone's gotten an official email from you, your name is John Hollywood Daily on Gmail.
I do wish I could change that setting. I haven't figured that out.
It has been that way since fucking 2004 when you introduced me to Gmail, which then was in beta. So you have had such a long time, but you're working a Writers Guild job. So I mean, fuck it. People are buying in. People watch The Chase if you want to see John Daly's work on TV. But yeah, and your middle, and you get not your middle, but your confirmation name's Valentine. You got a lot of cool names going on, actually. But Maddie J is a cool name, and thank you, Maddie, for joining us over at Patreon. Let me give a thank you to another cool name. I'm going to say Bernie Barron. Bernie Barron, a Patreon. And Bernie, I got great news about the ratio of our Patreon group. You are one of the few dudes, my friend. Not few. We have there's probably like we're probably into the double digits of dudes, but they are dwarfed by the amount of lovely ladies we have. So Bernie, thanks for joining us.
Bernie. And then I want to give a shout out to, and I hope I'm saying this right, Katarina,
and that's it. We got a real Madonna ass one name, Katarina.
It's like a Russian ballerina to me. I mean, she probably gets that a lot, probably. What if she is a ballerina, though?
What if she's Gorbachev? What if she's Mikhail Baryshnikov, the Russian who, in this episode, we have addressed that the Russian hit a lady in. Dress from Paris shows up in this one. And you can also find us on Instagram at Sex and the Idiots and on Twitter at Sex Idiots Pod. And join us on Patreon, baby, because we only have 3 episodes left. So that's where we're going to be doing most of our business after this. Patreon.com/Kevin and John.
Do you have one more name? You have one more name, don't you?
Alexis Papalia, which I believe I may have said before, but when people go up or down in bid, it tells you about it again. So Alexis, guess what? You get another shout out if we've shouted you out before. That's 1 at the top. We'll shout out another 4 next episode. But John, this is before we get into the episode, which is 1.8, Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered. I got a question for you.
Excuse me, could I have a glass of alcohol when you get a chance?
What are you drinking over there?
In solidarity with Miranda, I'm drinking non-alcoholic wine. Just kidding.
I was gonna be so mad, dude.
No, I'm having my old jam. What brought me to the dance? American honey, wild turkey American honey. It goes down so smooth. My ice maker's on the fritz. Ooh. And I'm just drinking it neat, and it's still so good.
Honey whiskey neat. That's class. That's Indiana class, I think is what that is.
It's a whole new level of class.
I am drinking a big old jug of Evan Williams, and we could get to the bottom of this tonight. We get to the bottom of a lot, but this bottle's one of those things we could get to the bottom of. And this is just a bunch of ice. I'm trying to think ahead this time. It's been a while since we've done this when at night as we used to, and from the official studio, the hot seat.
Yes, Ricky. Yeah.
Yes. So this episode is directed by Anu Valia, who you might remember from directing the last episode, and it's written by Rekna Fruchbaum. And
come on, man,
dude, I know that is good. I nailed it. It is. If that's minimum 95% right.
All right, no, I believe it. These are just names I just have never ever heard of before.
Not everyone can be Maddie J,
and that's fine.
And so easy for us basic bitches to say. But yes, and this is Rekna's second episode that she's written. She also wrote Diwali.
Oh, all right, great.
But I do believe she's a new writer. She was not a writer on staff back in the day. This is just.
Have we looked and seen if any of the classics like Bix? Is Bix back?
Bix is not back, and she follows us on Insta. What up, Jenny Bix? And I want to ask her, is that a Bix choice, or is that did they freeze Bix out? Because if they froze Bix out, I'm not happy about that. She's working, so I think she's okay. Maybe she had wrapped up the series the way she wanted to, but we like when it's a Bix. So
I think if you look at how happy people were with Bix episode and how happy people are with no Bix, too many dicks, not enough Bix in this episode, if you ask me.
Quote, baby. John's quote of the week. And this episode aired January 20th, 2022, which is when you're watching this live stream. If you're one of anybody, I saw our friend Michelle was over there, and then I'm not looking at the comment section for the duration of the show. We're new to this. Oh, we've got some people actually. We got Kay is in the mix. Jamie's there. This is lovely. We do actually have a comment section, and Jamie will be handling the production in there as long as she wants to, but we'll focus on our screen here. John, anything before? Should I just get to reading the HBO thing, or what?
I guess it's just HBO time, man. We know who wrote it, who directed it. We don't know how many people watched it, sadly, but let's go for it.
But we know 2 dudes said
Excuse me while I whip this out.
You know, so two dudes, and I don't have the also I think I don't think I have the armadillo one here anymore, but maybe I do.
But what's wrong with being sexy?
No, that's a different one. But
It's applicable. It's fine.
What is wrong with being sexy? We got, I mean, a spoiler, there's two dicks in this episode. Actual two dicks, two wangs. You know what I'm talking about. And we have not seen nary a schlong in the show's history and the movie's history, and then we got two today. So that's the headline, but HBO wrote something else in the
description. That's the headline. Yeah, that's the synopsis.
Yeah, there's a divorce too, but whatever. After coming clean to Che, Miranda is spurred toward making a life-altering decision. Carrie attempts to learn more about her mysterious 20-something neighbor, and Charlotte's efforts to be more open with her kids about sex get derailed.
Wow.
Does that sound accurate to you, John?
Yes. 20-something neighbor, huh? All right. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I guess getting derailed while you're trying to get railed.
Getting derailed at Diwali. Let's do a crossover episode. Yeah, I think that is fair. And I think we begin, John, with not Carrie. Not Carrie.
This is, guys, you simply love to see a Che comedy concert happening. Go ahead. I mean, your trigger warning here. Kevin's about to go off.
CW, one of the characters in the show, still exists.
One of the better characters not present. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So so I do listen to, and this is work. What we're doing, John, this is play. This is the love of the game. This I enjoy. What's work for me is I'm listening to the official companion podcast that is an MP King and the producers and writer production, and that is can be difficult for me. It's not what I would do with 40 Minutes on Earth that I'd never get back otherwise, but you know, I do like to be informed, and I think we've diagnosed that it is MP King who says comedy concert, because he said that on the podcast and just like it was nothing. So my man, he's throwing that out there. But yeah, trigger warning, we got Che, who's leading a rally.
Yeah, it's
a rally I agree with in all ways except for Che's involvement. I think.
Right. I mean, it's unclear if it's for a cause exactly, or like a fundraiser or something, but it's basically her more shouting more like "be true to yourself" platitudes, which we all love. You know what? You should. It's all accurate. It is all accurate.
It is, and it's dumb that I didn't even think about what is this for, because it is. Maybe I missed what the thing is, but it is just like, yeah, everybody be good to each other, and
yeah, it's like Bill and Ted.
Hide yourself, and yes, it is be excellent to each other, which is a great lesson, actually, for sure. As Kay says in the chat, still not doing comedy. Yes.
Yeah, it's not. It's accurate, but not especially hilarious. The Che philosophy on performance. Is this happening in Kevin? You know New York geography better than I. Is this Wall Street or is this NYU or what?
I did not really clock where specifically it was. I mean, it's near a park. It seems to be near a second tier park of some sort, like a Bryant or a Madison. Like I wasn't that locked in on it.
The reads on parks over here. Love it.
It wasn't Central, and it wasn't Battery. It didn't seem to be Coastal. So,
if you have a park you'd like Kevin to rate, just feel free to send in some pics of your park, and he will rate them.
RateMyPark.org, Patreon.com/RateMyPark. And the people watching on YouTube Live right now, this is the kind of shit I cut out when I listen to the episodes, but you're getting it uncut.
You haven't heard my messages about Rate My Park? I've been promoting that for weeks.
I know.
Is that why we haven't gotten any action on it?
No, weirdly, we have gotten action on it. People just know, they felt it out there. So yeah, Che does make a joke. She says, "Y'all are making me wet," and then she like points to her eyes, and then up at stairs and downstairs. Right. She's all over the place, all the stairs.
It's raining apparently there too, or drizzling or something.
Yeah, she's and I mean, to be fair to them, they have said Che is also she's a social activist in addition to being a comedy concert haver. So yeah, this seems on par with that. But then we see Miranda get spooked when she sees her kids at this event for equality, which I feel like it's not a problem for you to just be there. I guess they might ask, like, why are you here? But
Mother, you hate equality.
Mom, you've yeah, do you remember the protest? My first memory is you taking me to a 2012 protest against when Obama helped legalize gay marriage because he changed his mind all of a sudden. That's my first memory, and now you love the rainbows. Yeah, so she kind of panics and runs off.
She slinks away like a fucking burglar tiptoeing out of a fucking house holding a bag of money. Yes. Or something.
She Looney Tunes out, I believe, as Che said, right?
Well, that's true. Yeah, she does say that. So Che meets up with her afterwards. Miranda's got coffee. Mm-hmm. And then they're talking about, oh, why'd you slink away? Oh, my kid's here and I don't want them to know. Even though that the whole message, as you say, is like, oh, you got to be open about everything in your whole life. Mm-hmm. Which actually, now that I say that out loud, it seems like you don't have to be open about everything in your whole life, right?
No, you don't. Everyone has secrets, and you should have some secrets.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, secrets that makes me sound less trustworthy, but yeah, secrets can be sexy. All of my secrets, I try to make pretty sexy. Yeah. So, but Che clocks it and like then basically runs up to Miranda, and they have a confrontation that I have strong feelings about. But tell me what happens, John.
So basically, Miranda's just like, I'm worried because Brady was going to see me. Okay, why is that a problem? Because he might tell my husband that I'm here to see another woman. Mm-hmm. And then Che's like, why? You're in an open marriage. What's the problem? And it's just like immediately it's like, Che, I mean, what is the default on if you know someone is married and you don't hear explicitly that it's an open marriage? I don't think we're at that point in society yet where you can just err on the side of I assume it's open marriage. I guess one thing on the side of Che there is you did flavor blast this lady in the kitchen, so like that is a vote towards open marriage. But on the other hand, she's not mentioned it at all, so that's like 100 votes the other way. So
yes, I think, John, your opinion on that, and I saw Reddit going both ways on this, but
you're so money and you don't even know it.
That's what I keep trying to tell him.
Yeah, so I agree big time wholeheartedly with that, because you, as you said, flavor blasted our friend here in a kitchen, and you did it. It didn't seem like there was a lot of questions beforehand about relationship status, and and beyond that, you actually knew she was married,
right? And she's like she's not that old. She's only 55 or whatever, but like she's more traditional. She's a square. She's not like part of the anything goes community that you're a part of.
Right. Yeah. So I felt like this, and listening to the companion podcast of the writers, they were like, yeah, it was really important for us to have Che, Che gives Che like this moral center and the moral high ground, and, that you can't do this to her. And there were plenty of people on Reddit I saw who were saying similar things, and then plenty saying what we're saying too. But it's just like, no, you knew she was married and you went for the finger blast. I think that you didn't ask the question, and you've been together for 3 weeks. You should be upfront. In an ideal world, everyone should be upfront about everyone's relationship status and everything that's happening. But the assumption cannot be this is a co-signed flavor blast from your husband. Like, this is not the case.
Yeah.
Fuck that, man.
Frito-Lay did not sign off on this flavor blasting.
God,
Maybe there should be like another ring people in an open marriage can wear. So you have your wedding ring and you got one more that's like just like a green traffic light or something that's like, go ahead.
Something not obvious at all. Something just something like a picture of several schlongs and just like thumbs up next to them and whatever.
Yeah, just whatever you want in there. Yeah, schlong or vagina, just a ring with a vagina
any those are selling out at fucking Wet Seal or Forever 21 immediately. John, do you know what swingers use to signify their swingers in this way? It's a fruit.
It's a fruit. Is it a cherry?
pineapple. And an upside down pineapple, especially, means these people be swinging. So,
wait,
FYI.
Well, in what context? Where? At a bar?
Just anywhere a pineapple shouldn't be. Like, I think.
What are you talking about? Like, if you're at a restaurant and you're swingers and you just put a fucking upside down pineapple,
one whole pineapple for the table just to share.
And waiter, when you bring it here, can you turn that subbitch upside down?
Can you turn that shit upside down? Yeah, exactly. You get it. But if you're like, I've seen on TikTok, I found it out from TikTok. People just like pushing around a shopping cart at a grocery store with a fucking pineapple upside down, and that's it. It doesn't look like you're a swinger. It looks like you, no offense, are senile, and it looks like you got lost at the grocery store and did not pick up everything you meant to pick up. So anyway, you learned something.
All right.
So
that explains a lot of stuff that happened to me at Stop and Shop.
You're getting pineapple. People want a piece. I know.
People just keep asking me, you like what you see?
They heard you're slanging that hairy dong, and I'm not using that as like,
dude, Harry's dong, man. I don't know. I need to talk about it.
Fucking boogie mornings for Harry for sure. So anyway, Che says, I don't sneak around, I don't cheat. You do. It
is admirable, and I mean, she's doing the right thing eventually. It is now absolutely ridiculous that she didn't do any research at all. Like, I'm not a homewrecker. Well, I guess like you actually are. Like, I'm glad that you philosophically are opposed to it, but you done goofed it up. Honestly.
You done goofed, and also you don't know the person you're dating. Like, you don't. If this is who you think Miranda is, then you missed it. I don't. It's just like, she's obviously, this is the first time she's gay to begin with. She's been married. It's assuming so much more to think she was in an open relationship than it is the other way around. So
yeah, it's like, have you not been burned on this like 100 times before with other people? Like, oh, I thought you were open marriage.
Yeah, most of the 55-year-old never before gay married women that I flavor blast in a kitchen are in open relationships. So I don't know. So that's that scene. Let's move on to John. Take me to a Carrie scene.
It's Carrie's apartment, and she's got racks and racks of her old shit laying around. She's decided to take that out of storage, I guess, and it's back in the old place with her. So there's no room for it. This is the stuff she used to keep at her villa at the top of whatever apartment building she lived at. Anyway, it's like, and this is something we can all relate to, I think. It's like a Barney's warehouse sale.
Yeah, I mean, this is, John and I bumped into each other at Barney's warehouse sales, so we used to.
I pulled a knife on Kevin.
then we took our fancy hats off. We're like, it's John and Kevin. We know each other. Also, fact from the chat. This is fun that we're getting some fact checks from the live chat. But Foley Square, I believe, is what the park was. So yes, thank you, Michelle, for that.
I don't even know where that is. Michelle, where is that?
I'm just shouting into the YouTube. Yeah, so she's going through all her old clothes, and we see the dress. We see a bunch of her dresses, and a lot of these are dresses that Carrie actually wore on the show. Yeah. And
she's with Seema, by the way. I forgot to mention that Seema's with her,
right?
And they have some repartee about like, Seema's like, oh yeah, it is just like a Barney sale, and like, oh, you're old enough to get that reference, and they are becoming fast friends over Barney's stuff.
Yeah.
I would cut a bitch for cashmere, I think was one of the lines that Seema said.
Yeah.
So edgy.
I will say, this is something I learned in the last MP King podcast last week, not this one, where they talked about Seema sitting down at the table, and they said, should we make note that she's the fourth now? And they were saying it like they are saying she's the Samantha, which I wouldn't have gotten fully from the show, but you did mention in an earlier episode that you were vibing that a little bit, that's what they were trying to do. And they think she's the Samantha replacement. So
I mean, do you think that there's like a world, we must have talked about this, but do you think there's a world where they're like, all right, Seema's the Samantha replacement, like they're going to replace the other three because like they can't I don't know, maybe they're thinking about this and sort of dry running all these people as like, are these popular people? Are they popular enough to have their own show? But is it possible where there's a foursome where it's like Seema, TLDR, Che, and this fucking 20-year-old or something as like the new foursome?
I think in their original pitches of like theoretical seasons down the line, there's a decent chance, yes, that will categorically not happen because I'm really hoping the show gets another season because I'm having a good time and I want to see it go forward, and I'm sure they have plans to go forward. But if it wasn't, but I mean, if you take the characters everyone loves out of the equation, this show is not getting a fucking green light. It's getting the opposite of an upside down pineapple. It's saying swing away from me. It's telling you to get the fuck out. That is not a spinoff that it seems America's interested in from the reviews and things I'm seeing. So no, but I do. But like Seema lights up or starts to light up a cig here when she sees the dress that Carrie had in Paris. As my wife pointed out, I was slapped in that dress, and I
forgot. I mean, honestly, they made a fucking meal out of this dress. They showed the dress, and it's like, all right, I and shame on me, but I didn't remember exactly what the dress was from. I knew it was a big deal. Okay.
Yeah, this is, and we're not the podcast to listen to if you want deep dress talk about this show, but that dress I did remember. That one I was like, all right, this is, I'll say it, iconic, I would say.
Ooh. It did look good. It looks good.
Yeah, it's a good dress. It's a big floof. So, that's good. And
you got a big floof. You got a hairy size floof.
It's a Versace. It's a Versace. And then we find out that Carrie, when she tells Seema she can't smoke, Carrie's smoking once a day, John.
She's smoking once a day, and she's not doing it in the apartment because it makes the apartment smell like cigarettes, and then it makes her want to smoke more, right? Big spiral. I totally understand that because I hate smoke. I hate the smell of cigarette smoke, and it does get everywhere. But anyway, so what's she do? She talks. She has like a funny story about how she wraps like fucking kerchiefs around her head, over the top of her head, and puts on these gloves or whatever, and then walks around the block smoking. And it did make me think of our friend who also had like some sort of shame smoking part of his life where he actually manufactured a wire that he would hold his cigarette in like 3 inches away from his fingers so he could smoke.
Yeah, he bent basically
he's probably like, oh yeah, gloves, I gotta just wear gloves.
I think ultimately he maybe started smoking in gloves, but his hands started to turn yellow, and it's hard not to be like, my man, everything is telling you not to do this, not to pick up smoking relatively late in life. But he had like a paper clip, and he fashioned a paper clip into a cigarette holder, which really just looks like, what if Audrey Hepburn was homeless? It's just a really silly,
we should have absolutely gotten him a fucking FDR foot-long cigarette holder.
Yes, I know. Well, birthday's
it's not too late. Yeah, I don't know if he still smokes or not, but
no, I think he's mostly vapes. We'll get him a huge vape,
a big FDR sized vape. Yes.
And what if FDR vaped? What if FDR did NFTs? This is our pitch for Young FDR, new hot series.
Shit, man, I would watch.
Oh yeah, he'll die in office. So
just want to point out too, Carrie's wearing her I Love Central Park shirt, the AKA Who Cut One, because it's got these stupid little trees on it.
Stupid little trees, anti-environment, John Bailey, dumbass trees. So, but then there's a group of friends that are outside, these young people. Carrie refers to her mysterious young neighbor, and she's just so cool, and yeah, and she's always like with hot guys and stuff, I guess. Right. Well, I guess first we see her because they talk about going outside to smoke, and she's out there with just her boyf, it seems like.
Right, just the boyf on the stoop. The boyf saw it, we noticed. And at first I thought this was just going to be like wow, I'm jealous of this youthful person having boyfriends or whatever. Like, oh, are you... This is like you're old and like you're aging gracefully, sort of, because like you realize you're becoming the person that you never thought you were going to become, but like time makes fools of us all or whatever. So yeah, she and like, yeah, she's kind of complaining because she's on the stoop all the time. Oh yeah, because like she can't just smoke on the stoop. Carrie can't, which is like sort of like You can though, Carrie.
You can, and that's how you make friends.
Damn. I've always been jealous a little bit of smokers because they do have a natural in for making friends.
A natural in for making friends, and a natural in for not working as much time as everyone else does. You know, they just get the smoke break. I have to take a smoke break. It's sort of, you know, ouch. Yeah. Hashtag.
I'm just saying, if we have listeners that smoke, I support you. I support your lazy ways. I would take naps in the bathroom, so I never thought ill of people who smoked.
Yeah, no, whatever. But this is something that I'm jealous of. Similar, where it's like, oh, you get to leave the room, and you know, you get to leave work and go do this. So anyway, this brings me to later in the night after Seema's gone home, or as Jamie said in the chat, Seamantha. Is that who we're dealing with here? Seamantha,
new nickname,
Ersatz Samantha.
Woke moment.
No, I could give you a fucking
Woke moment.
Yeah, we get a bunch of friends out on the stoop being loud, and Carrie thinks, geez, I'm gonna be this old person now. I guess she calls Bobby Lee first. She calls who I looked up. He is 50 years old, and she called Bobby and says, "What should I do?"
Could you imagine being 50 years old?
I'm not gonna get there. But I'm just, he's like the young guy in the group is the reason I looked it up.
Yeah,
she's like,
he's 5 years younger.
You need to call resident young person Bobby Lee. It's like, this guy is like 5 years at max younger than anyone here. But he picks up the phone and he's with his girlfriend, who's a designer named Smoke, and that all checks out. And
it's sort of like, why are they introducing these details? It's like, oh, how audacious that he has a girlfriend named Smoke who makes dresses or whatever. It's like, yeah, okay. And then what? I mean, like, who gives a shit?
Who gives a shit? Sure. I guess it's just like, is he cooler than we thought he was? He's got something going on.
Right. Well, the thing is, like, why was he like pursuing the wheelchair lady from the
more than
person?
I think he was pursued and he was obtained. They boned, is what I'm saying.
They boned, and then he was like hiding in her bushes or whatever, right? Where he's like, and she's like, "Stop hiding in my bushes" or whatever. And it's like, oh, he's got a girlfriend or whatever. So like, why is he bugging her?
Yeah, why he bugging? And it has been months. Who knows how many months it's been since then? But yeah, this isn't like a super long-term girlfriend. I don't think we know. It's been 3 weeks since the last episode, I think, because that's how long Che and Miranda have been going at it on the regular. But there's a group of friends outside on the stoop. They're being loud. I will say they cast the laugher pretty well, because that was a pretty horrendous laugh.
You hate parks and you hate people who laugh too loud.
You're the one who has beef with trees.
I love trees. I love trees. She's just, they're not great trees on her shirt. They're not a great representation of trees, okay, I would say.
Sure, that's fair. But I gotta say, the guy who the conversation, tell me about the conversation on the stairs. What was your feeling about it?
I mean, it's 2:30 in the morning and these people are being loud outside. And that is, hey, this is an accurate representation of New York City, because we used to have this shit all the time, man. And maybe you still do, but like, yeah, you'd have people fucking yo Steph. Steph, we lived one floor below a drug dealer, and people
listen to my album. There's a track about it.
They would come by and just shout yo Steph at all hours of, I mean, it doesn't matter when or whatever, but
right.
It's just like, come on, dude. Come on.
Come on, dude. Yeah.
But yeah, so they're, I mean, I don't even remember what they're talking about. It was just some bullshit or whatever.
So it is some bullshit. Someone yells. I will say I'm friends with one of the people in this scene. The Indian guy is named Usama Siddiqui. He's a stand-up comic in the city, and I just did a show with him several weeks ago. It was a pole dancing / comedy show where they alternate pole dancers and comics. It was actually a fucking great show. It's perfect.
Did he go on after you or before you?
He went on before me.
Okay.
He was not pole dancing.
So you were pole dancing?
No, but there's a pole in the background. I have a photo of it.
Oh, okay.
They alternate one by one, but yeah. So I was surprised to see Usama on this, but that's him. The conversation I just wrote. This is the most 60-year-old conversation. This is such a 60-year-old's in what a 60-year-old thinks young people are talking about. One guy's like, "You hipster," and it's just like no one's calling people hipster anymore. That's like a 2009 thing.
Oh,
dude.
And then one guy's like, "Yeah, I called him dude. I call everybody dude."
That's Usama has said that line. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah. That's like.
I said Bobby. Yeah.
Oh, and then Bobby Lee. So she calls Bobby Lee, and she's like, "How do I get rid of these people?" Which is like the eternal question of like, I want to get rid of these people. They're just going to get mad at me. And when they get mad at me, they're just going to want to do the thing that pisses me off more. Right. So like, how do you diffuse the situation? And the advice is, because I was like, okay, what is the answer? And the answer is,
I want to know for my life. Yeah.
there is functionally no answer. He's like, do you have a gun?
Yeah, there's no way to ask someone to stop and not seem like a bit of a knob, even if you're in the right and whatever. I just also wrote down, since I looked at Bobby Lee's age, I was like, feels like such a 60-year-old's version of young people talk. Darren Star is 60, so I looked that up. That makes sense. But what I think the most important takeaway here is someone calls when Carrie does go to the window and is like, "Come on," they call her ma'am.
Yes.
She gets hit. They use the M word.
They use the M word. I remember when Bobby Moynihan was telling his story, they were like, when someone yelled at us, we called her the Wicked Witch of the West Side. Which is like, oh, big fucking deal, dude. Oh, man. Did she fucking die of embarrassment right there on the spot? But anyway, they called her ma'am, which is like cutting, right? Because, you're not the person you thought you were. You're old now. You're too old to be cool.
Yes, John. I just want to say, in our YouTube live, we just got spammed by a porn bot that's telling us the best girls in the world are over here. So I'm gonna.
I'll tell you what, we got the best girls in the world listening to our podcast.
Dude, I just put the user in timeout. This is so fun that we can do that. Anyway, we do have the best girls in the world listening to this podcast, so the chat's hot. So anyway. Yeah, so take me past that, John.
Take you past that. It's time for Harry.
I will interrupt briefly after just throwing to you, but Lisette is the new character, and she is played by Katarina Tannenbaum. Maybe that's the Katarina who's our new Patreon friend, but Katarina Tannenbaum, who was in an episode of The New Gossip Girl, episode of Better Call Saul, AJ and the Queen. So she's been some stuff. I thought she was good in this episode, but anyway, that's that. So now take me to a little Charlotte and Harry action.
Little Charlotte and Harry. Harry is getting ready in the morning. He's at the sink and he's doing his normal sink stuff. And then Charlotte comes in. And this is like something that honestly is something that I might be dreading for the rest of my life as the years march on.
Okay.
But like
so you're getting blown so frequently.
No, not the blow part. The part where like your wife comes in and is like, hey, I'm afraid you're gonna die, so we really need to sort of check your behavior. And it's like, actually, I'd prefer my behavior not to be checked. If we're taking a poll of the room, my vote would be let's not check my behavior.
Actually, I'm pretty cool right now, and I'd rather change nothing and keep eating what I eat and drinking what I drink. And then meanwhile, your wife is just like,
I have never in my life yelled at a girl like this.
And but yeah, that's how it begins. She tells Harry to wear a fitness ring, which I didn't even know was a thing. I know the like fitness watches, of
right?
course.
I assume it's either for the super wealthy or it's fictional.
Yeah, I think it's for the super wealthy. That checks for me.
Because he's like hesitant to, and then she's like, I know about the fucking chocolates, dude. I know about the T-bone steak you keep under the pillow at night.
God. Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, okay, maybe I will do this. And he's like, well, taking this ring's a big commitment, so I'm gonna need you to ask properly. Which is like, this is cute. This is fine. This is like what you want from old Sex and the City, right? Mm-hmm. This is like once again coming from the Harry and Charlotte storyline. This is like, oh, we're old and in a relationship. This is what that looks like now.
Yes.
So it's like a funny parody of like him proposing to her. She gets down on one knee and slides the ring on his finger.
Mm-hmm.
And then he uses a line that I don't know, 100% of men use and works 0% of the time, which is while you're down there. Which is like, just, I mean, it's funny because it's demeaning, maybe, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's not demeaning here because it's, you know, they know each other.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and it's said in jest. But yes, while you're down there, it does, even if you don't say, why don't you blow me? Whatever you say after while you're down there feels demeaning. While you're down there, do anything else still feels demeaning to me.
Right. I mean, this is the essential fucking, is it Nelly? Like, I'm just kidding. Like Jason, unless you're gonna do it.
Yeah, I think so. And it feels like this is a case where this relationship, I'm just kidding unless you're gonna do it. And Charlotte's gonna do it. Again, Charlotte is the most sexually free, sexually forward, most horned up one of them.
Yeah.
And she has been since the get-go, when she was the prude who had sex every episode more than everyone else in the first couple seasons. And Charlotte's like, all right, maybe I will blow you. You know, like,
I mean, why? I mean, no one else is in the apartment, right? Why not blow you with the door open?
Yeah, blow you with the door open. Well, it is weird. That's like, it's not like the kid, I don't think she came home from school early or anything.
Yeah, they didn't. I don't think they got into why are you here. So yeah, it's just like, is she home? Like, but anyway, so what happens is she fucking she does it, which is like unbelievable a little bit, but it's like fucking good. I'm glad this worked for somebody. She takes out his wang, and it's like, good for you, Harry. Now the question of the fucking day is this a stunt wang, Kevin?
Dude, is that a question?
I'm such a mark. I'm a mark. I'm the biggest mark in the world when it comes to wrestling and when it comes to fake wang.
Are you a Harry?
I want to believe,
Mark.
it's still real to me, damn it.
No, there's one real dong in this episode, and it's not this one. This is a flippy floppy. That he rolls out. It rolls like in the cartoons when like a cartoon dog sees like a steak and the tongue turns into a red carpet rolling out. He's flopping a good friggin', Harry's packing, and I think it checks that Harry's packing.
Charlotte's a good get for him.
Yeah.
He's punching above his weight class.
Yeah.
So good for him.
That checks out. So he flops it out, and then Lily comes running in, and John, that's where we're gonna get our clip of the week.
Mom, where's the paper that you signed?
Did she see us?
She definitely saw us.
Oh, shit.
You slammed the door into my head.
Oh, baby. I'm so sorry. But I was checking your daddy's penis for cancer.
What?
There we go. I was checking your daddy's penis for cancer. What is correct? That is great.
I mean, it's a totally legit thing that happens to people. You can't. Now, this is the stuff of nightmares. You can't get penis cancer, can you?
Dude, I've heard a lot about nut cancer, to be quite honest, but not a lot about straight up dick cancer. It feels like it could happen, but it feels like it would come from somewhere else. And if it can't happen to your dick, what up with that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
why don't we make the whole plane out of the black box? Why don't we make the whole guy out of the penis?
John, in your case, maybe they did. Look at this big old
just
dick.
One big fucking dick.
Yeah.
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
This is a goofy situation here. Lily seems to buy for the time being, and that brings us to lobster brunch.
It does. I do worry that Lily, having seen her father's horse cock, she's going to be ruined for guys a little bit. She's going to be like, you're not packing as much.
You're not packing what my dad's packing is what you're worried about?
Yes, a little bit. I mean, that's what, if this is the first penis she's seen, it makes you wonder. I don't know, Kevin.
Right.
When's the first time you saw a penis that wasn't yours?
Fucking, my dad used to straight up Winnie the Pooh it all the time. Like my dad.
No undies? Come on.
My dad would get out of the shower, put on a t-shirt, and just walk by in the background, and you'd be like, Dad. And he'd be like, oh,
Dad.
sorry, and put a towel over it.
Sorry, I'm just eating some honey right now.
Sorry, I'm talking to your Uncle Tigger. Yeah, man. So I guess that was the first one that wasn't mine, which I think is common. Most people see their dads.
Yeah, most people. Most
You know.
people's dads
Yeah.
are chubby little buddies all stuff with fluff.
Fuck your life.
Fuck your life. Well, before brunch, super quick. Also, Carrie's downstairs neighbor, whose name we don't know yet, but you said it, and I don't remember it again. Yeah. Lizette comes upstairs and apologizes. And Carrie answers the door wearing her fucking green. It's like a fucking thing from an 80s sitcom, right? She's got the green goop on her face and her hair is up. And this downstairs neighbor is super cool. And Carrie's trying to be the cool neighbor, like, I was up anyway. Are you kidding me? I was up anyway. I was writing. I'm a writer. Maybe you've heard of me. Yes. She doesn't actually play that card where it's like, I have several books. I guess she did say I have written books, but yeah, she tries to be cool. And like, it's the thing where like, you're obviously not cool. Look at all the shit on your face. Kind of. Although, did you hear Oscar Myers released like a baloney mask? Like one of those, the mask that you put on your face to.
I do know. I feel like you're setting me up for a bit here.
A dad joke? No. No, not this
time. Are you going to try
to
trick me into putting baloney on my face, John? I'm not falling for that again. So, let's take me to lobster brunch.
All right, it's lobster brunch. And it's Miranda. It's just the three gals today, family only. Miranda, Carrie, and Charlotte, who is wearing something stunning, I will say, before we get into the content of the brunch. She's wearing a fucking pearl bandolier, folks. Like a fucking Chewbacca ass, over the shoulder, diagonally across her body, string of gigantic 2-inch pearls or something.
Hot, rich lady Rambo,
fucking
but not Miranda
awesome.
Rambo.
Yeah, real Rambo. Real Rambo wife energy.
Yes.
Anyway, and then we started the brunch and Miranda just drops the bombshell. So next time I have my fucking dinner ritual, dessert ritual, I'm gonna dump Steve. I'm gonna divorce him. And then Carrie's like, oh, well, I guess my neighbor shit can wait. And it's like, yeah, Carrie, it can't.
Yeah, it fucking can. It actually, nothing happened. It is extremely Carrie to be like, I guess I'll wait to tell my story. It's like, your story is bullshit. Everyone has experienced this in some way or another. I mean, yeah, we'll talk about it if nothing else is going on. But there's a divorce here from someone that we've known practically our whole adult lives at this point. Like, Steve's been around, son. Like
we've known Steve longer than we've been the other half of our life, almost. Yeah.
So they've known Steve since fucking the early 2000s, and she's saying, I'm going to tell him I want a divorce tonight. To me, that's the A story of the brunch, you would think. Turns out it's not, because the fact that like they basically wait, they're like, Charlotte, go ahead and judge, and Charlotte says, I don't know how to get my own life together. I want you, whatever.
This is great Charlotte stuff. Again, I think
Charlotte's the best character in this show.
She's certainly the most likable. And I mean, is it because they give her the actual fun storylines? And I mean, I'm glad Carrie didn't come out at this brunch with, my husband died or whatever.
You guys remember? Oh shit, my neighbor shit's not doing it. I guess I gotta up the ante a little bit. Y'all remember Big?
Yeah. Everyone else is like, I'm a drunk and I figured out I'm a lesbian and I'm dumping my husband and my son's a piece of shit. I think Carrie's like, my husband died. And then Charlotte's like, I'm blowing my husband.
Yeah. And everyone basically, I think Carrie says, back it up, back the truck up or something. You still blow Harry. And then Miranda says, you're still blowing Harry? Was it his birthday? Is his fucking mom dying? Why are you blowing your husband?
What an amazing reason to blow someone. What a mind trip that must be.
But it's just like, this now hijacks the thing. So now Miranda divorcing someone they've known forever is the B story at this brunch, because the A story is a BJ story. They obsess about it, and it's like, in some ways it's fun, and this would be fun, and it would be a classic Sex and the City brunch sort of like A story, right, if the other thing didn't exist.
honestly, it's like it feels like them trying to sweep the fucking Steve divorce under the rug as much as I possibly can. Honestly, at some points in this episode, it was like, are we not going to see the fucking divorce talk? Are we not going to see Miranda talk to Steve about this fucking divorce? Or is it just going to be the next day and she's like, I'm divorced now? They just want to we just want a clean slate Miranda. We just want Miranda to be a lesbian now or whatever she's going to call herself now. So so yeah, they really are like, all right, let's talk about this BJ thing. And if it wasn't like Miranda dumping Steve, if it was just like, yeah, we're mostly just friends now and we mostly just hang out and we certainly don't do sex stuff. And then they had like a fun discussion about like, wait, you still give him blowjobs? I haven't given a blowjob in 10 years or something. Having that discussion would be like, okay, that's kind of cool and fun or whatever.
Yeah, it seems like a brunch that could have happened like 4 episodes ago, maybe. Right, where it sort of is hinting at the trouble for Miranda, but yeah, it does seem out of order in terms of how it's prioritized. I think because that would be like, oh, geez, I'm not doing anything with Steve anymore. Maybe,
Also, was Carrie not blowing big before he died?
We've said
like
this.
That was
Carrie's
like happening.
We've said this. We said this in the OG series. Carrie's never given a beach. Not a beach.
I can't remember. I don't remember that, and I refuse to believe it.
Yeah,
that's crazy, though. That's non-canonical.
I believe it though.
How on earth could you be a sex columnist or whatever?
You watched the show, my dude. This lady is not even pro-sex. I don't think so. Whatever. We have this and that. I mean, basically, they leave brunch. And that's more or less it, right?
Carrie gets a good line about like after Charlotte's like, I still blow Harry. She's like, well, I'm not eating my king crab leg now, which is like, that's fine. That was good.
Yeah. Sure.
And then also, I mean, the result was basically like Charlotte's like, you know what? I'm going to talk to Lily about it, which is probably good because Lily's probably upset that her dad might have dick cancer.
Well, and that her dad has a full king crab leg in his pants at all times. Is the real.
Some people are scared. Some people are scared when we're on stage.
Don't crack it, Mom. So Miranda says, I'm telling Steve, and Carrie's like, you should buy him a good brownie if you're gonna divorce him tonight during your dessert ritual.
Awful.
And she says, if you're gonna like tear his world apart or something. And Miranda says, I'm not tearing his world apart, which is fucking delusional. It is absurd. And it gets more absurd later. I have strong opinions. But, she says, I'm telling him something we both already know. That's fine. That can be a realistic take.
It's certainly the rationalization you would tell yourself in the lead up to dumping your husband or whatever. Like, he probably wants this too. I'm actually helping him.
Yeah, I'm actually the hero here. And I think it is believable that she could think I'm telling him something we both already know, but not something he'd be happy to hear. You can't possibly think that, even if he thinks like, oh yeah, we're kind of broken or whatever.
Yeah, I guess in her mind, she's like, she tells him that and he's like, oh my God, I was thinking the same thing.
High five, let's never see each other again. And Carrie says, and Miranda says, because I want Che. And Carrie says, do you know how much Che wants you? Great question, because you don't know.
Right. And yeah. Oh, also, as they're walking up to this fucking brownie place, which is called Fat Witch, which is so anyway, they're walking up and Miranda's like, oh, look at this place. This place used to be something. Mm-hmm. And then Carrie says a line that is like, oh my God. She says, I remember when I used to be something. It's like, that's too much, Carrie. That's too much.
I do just want to cut in real quick since we have the live comment section on YouTube going right now. People are talking about the BJ thing, about Carrie. We've got one take, Big convinced her at least once in 15 to 20 years. We have another take, maybe once. Another, Carrie asked if it was his birthday, so maybe that's her frequency. So maybe one BJ a year tops, I think is...
I don't know. First of all, I like the idea of... We have going downtown for the ladies and going downtown for the fellas.
Which
going
might
downtown...
be from episode 1 of Us, which is amazing.
Going downtown for the penis cancer or checking for penis cancer might be a great new euphemism for a blowjob.
God, it would have fucking what a challenge to stay hard while you're talking about penis cancer. Just daring.
Have you found anything yet? You might want to keep checking.
Keep checking. We're close to finding cancer. That's awful. So John,
I was under the impression, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I thought there was some level of who doesn't like making their partner happy, right?
some people. Turns out.
I don't know. I guess I feel like I'm more in the Charlotte camp, I guess.
You'll
when it
blow
comes
anything.
I'll blow anything anytime. That's the guarantee, folks.
And
the
that's why you're my best
level.
friend. Our patreon.com/Kevin and John are soulmates now. 15 and up. Test John's Beach theory. So the next thing I have, we move on to Carrie. Dude, Carrie is walking down the stairs here, and she's dropping off. She's not walking downstairs yet. She's dropping off a treat.
Oh, that's right. There's no stairs yet. Yeah. She knocks on the door, and because she's got to give a blondie, right? The jokes write themselves. Right, MPK.
Yeah, what he thinks are jokes. Yes, they do write themselves. They're just words in any order.
They're words. She's blonde and it's a blondie. You get it, folks. So she knocks on the door, trying to give this as a sort of olive branch to her downstairs neighbor. Except the downstairs neighbor doesn't answer. It's this young, hot, shirtless guy. Abs for days.
Sick bod. You got to give him that. It's a sick bod.
He's wearing a towel. He's doing a McSteamy on us. And he's like, I actually just fucked her comatose back there. So she's going to be out for a few days. But I will take what do you have for her? And she's like, I got this blondie. And it was like, we don't eat sugar. Are you trying to kill us? Which is so, I mean, honestly, that's very hipster, Kevin. That's so
it is, but I feel like you don't call it hipster anymore. It is, and also it's just like what I read about the relationship, him saying we anything seems too familiar, too deep for me.
Right. Unless he was no sugar, and then he got her to be no sugar.
Yes,
instantly.
He seems toxic. He seems toxic and controlling, and he's fucking everybody in town. We find out later. But he drops the towel when Carrie, the brownie drops, and he's like, "Oops," and he's a sex idiot. He drops the towel, which, by the way, that's not an accident. I think he's doing this on purpose. You're not accidentally dropping the towel like this. But we get a second wiener after so many episodes, well over 100 episodes, no wieners. 2 wiener episodes.
And like the 6 or 7 episodes of this very own series, and there no wieners. Yeah. We got a couple wieners. I mean, I'd love to hear from the peanut gallery, as it were, the penis gallery, what people think. Are women or gay gentlemen like super excited whenever a wiener shows up on screen? I get excited when boobs are on screen. I mean, I like it. It's okay. Yeah. I don't mind.
No, I think a lot of ladies are happy to see a boob on screen too. Like, everybody likes a boob. I think there's no problem with boobs, at least. Wieners, I think the verdict on wieners, they're more useful than they are aesthetically pleasing. But I'm sure people enjoy looking at a good wiener every now and again. I do think it is fun that we got wieners on the show after so many boobs for so long.
It just feels like a milestone instead of, I don't know. I mean, is this serving any purpose at all for like Carrie? For Carrie to be like, oh, I dropped this. Oh, and then he's like, oh, I dropped my towel. Like, is this supposed to be him coming on to her? Was that like,
right?
Is that like the subtext? Because like it didn't come through exactly that way. But later on, when we find out more about him, it's like, okay, is this part of a pattern for him?
Right. I do think what is good, I like how Carrie handled it. I like that she didn't let the awkwardness linger. That was a good, like, a mature person thing to do, where she drops the brownie. His towel falls and she's like, you know what? Keep it, and gets the fuck out of there. I thought that was good. That was well handled.
It's a blondie, but
sorry, a blonde. What's the difference?
A blondie is made with peanut butter instead of
it's
fudge.
like a peanut butter brownie.
Or a brownie's like a fudge blondie.
Right.
I guess whichever way you want to go.
I just,
I've never in my life yelled at a girl like this.
Woke moment.
All right, so this is this is take me to now Che. This is we have a Miranda Che bump into, and Che's telling Miranda, you know what? Yeah, I am in love with you, which we all saw coming, right? JK, I did not see her doing that.
This is like, first of all, I'm gonna move my camera a little bit.
Sure.
This is like Che's apartment. This is fucking. She lives in a fucking skyscraper. It looks amazing. And like Miranda's just like waiting outside of her apartment like a stalker. It's creepy as shit, I think. And then Che.
If this is where I'm thinking of, it's also where I think no apartments are. This is like outside the Sirius XM building and Radio City Music Hall, I think. So maybe Che lives in Radio City Music Hall. I don't know. It's a weird. It's not. She really
pays extra to live beneath the Rockette so she can look up through the cracks in the
I'm a big upskirt lady.
But there's definitely no apartments here or whatever. So she comes out. And Miranda's there and like, hey, I'm not clingy or anything. I'm just like, I'm sorry. I basically lied to you our whole relationship about my marriage.
Right. Or like, I don't even buy that she lied about her relationship.
From Che's point of view, Miranda's then lying.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
Che's
twisted.
The twisted pretzel logic.
Yes.
And then, Miranda's just like, listen, before I cut things off with this dude, you got to tell me, is this real? Is what we have real? And Che's answer is, I love you, semicolon, nothing I will ever give you is traditional, which I think are two statements that I think Miranda heard one of, and which we'll find out in the next episode, I guess. There wasn't a payoff this time, but we'll see. But yes, Che loves her. And I stopped listening to the rest of the sentence.
Totally. And I think it feels like Miranda's headed for trouble is what it feels like to me, right? I mean, she's already, I don't know, I would consider divorcing the father of your child and someone you've lived with and loved for 20 years also trouble, but she's headed for more trouble, I think. But yeah, she heard like, I hate traditional. Che, didn't you hear? I'm a non-monogamous lesbian now. I have been for 45 minutes. So this is great. I can't wait for all this non-traditional stuff. And then so we know Che's going to Cleveland for a comedy concert. Quote.
She said that? Oh man, I missed.
No, I don't think she did actually. That was.
But going to Cleveland, she's got to catch a plane to Cleveland. But yeah, Che saying "I love you." I guess this is like there needs again some sort of scale, some sort of metric scale for like I love you to a degree where I will make love to you, but I won't not make love to other people would probably come in handy.
Yeah, right. You may think, Miranda, that you're no longer traditional, but when you probably are still traditional about what you think the phrase "I love you" means.
Yeah.
And I don't blame Miranda for that, but you can blame her for everything surrounding it. And I suppose in the actions some of the action she's taken. Let's take it to Charlotte. Charlotte is having a meal with her daughter, Lily, and they got phones. And they're saying like, we're both on our phones. Let's put our phones in the middle. And
right. Which is nice.
It is nice. Yeah.
And then Lily basically says, I need a straw, which is, I thought was weird when she said that, because I get that like people don't like to drink out of glasses because it chips your teeth or whatever. And I don't believe that, and I think my teeth show that. But also, I would have thought that Lily is the sort of person that's not like, "Hey, let me have a plastic straw." I mean, maybe she gets the paper ones or whatever, but like,
moment.
Thank you. Was she? Yeah, but like, you're getting a straw. Why don't you have your own reusable straw, Lily, if you actually gave a shit about anything?
Because she's a teen who's being a teen activist, and where they're suckling off the money given to them by others while having major opinions about things, and still, but not actually doing anything to make a difference. And I'm not saying she should, because she is a teen. This is how it works. But yeah.
But she makes a big point about like not making the waiter go get a straw for her. That she's going to get her own straw because she doesn't want to demean the wait staff.
Right. And as Charlotte says, that's what they do.
Yeah. I mean, I would be like, I don't want to wait for the fucking waiter to come back. That could take for fucking ever. They have to come back, and then I have to tell them about the straw. Then they have to come back with the straw. So,
as someone who's been a waiter, you don't mind if someone asks for a straw, and you don't mind if someone gets a straw.
That's a good point, because like, when I take it upon myself to go get a thing, sometimes I wonder if like I'm treading on forbidden ground, being like, we need another plate here. They didn't give us an extra. We needed one more plate.
Oh, I think that I was gonna say, I don't take my waiter opinions as canon. I haven't been a waiter in a while, but I do think that kind of shit, I don't think any waiter cares about. Like, yeah, fix your own problem. That's great. I think if anything, sometimes they're like, oh, order drinks through me, like that, to, have the bill keep going through you. But like, no, fix your own problem. That's very helpful, I think.
So anyway, while she's retreating to get the straw, her phone blows up, which is just like a message shows up on the screen, and Charlotte takes it upon herself to look. It doesn't seem like the message is anything lascivious at all. It just seems like a normal, like, you got a message on Instagram. And she's like, oh, Lily got a message on Instagram. I better see what it is. That is bullshit. And then she opens the phone, and it turns out people are posting on Lily's secret IG account, her secret sexy IG account, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Do you got one of those? Are you keeping secrets from me?
Are you asking me if I have a Finsta, John?
Is that what? What?
Did you see there was like a thing? There was this dumbass old Republican congressman who was asking some either Instagram or Facebook representative in Congress. It was like in a hearing, what are you going to do about Finsta? And she was like, that's not a thing. It's just like a Finsta is an Instagram account you have that is not like directly traceable to you. You have it maybe to like peep on other people and to have them not know you're watching their stories, or you have it to like post some other stuff that you don't want as part of your like straight up brand or whatever.
That seems so exhausting to keep up with that.
Dude, this is my fucking life. I don't have a Finsta. I have an Insta, and that's still too much. But,
right. The idea of having a Finsta, like, oh man, I got to make sure I'm not on my main. I know about horny on main.
You know about horny on main? Yes. You've been, John, would you say you've ever been horny on main?
I think that's the only way I am.
I'm mainly horny, if that's what you're asking. Yes, but I think it is more of a thing for younger people now, because you have parents, helicopter moms like Charlotte, who want to look at all your social media and be up to date on your stuff. So you have one that they know, and then you have one that you give to your friends. I don't have a kid, I don't know, but this is, if it was me in high school now, I bet I would have an Instagram that my mom would know about and one that my mom didn't. I think like that makes sense.
It does make sense. I mean, to me at this point in my life, to me it's like, why even bother having the public one? I guess unless it's like, it's the idea of having two cell phones where it's like my wife knows about cell phone one and the business happens on cell phone two, where it's like your parents aren't going to believe you have 0 IG accounts.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I've had phony accounts on things before, but like not IG to post sexy things.
Yeah, you post all your sexy stuff. Yes, John, you're a zaddy, and people would get real horned up about it, and you know it. You do great out there, kid. So yeah, but they have this blow up because Lily is wearing sexy clothes, workout clothes, she says, and as Charlotte later points out, she doesn't even work out, which is funny. But they then she runs away to Carrie's, and Lily runs away to Carrie's, and Lily's been working with Carrie, helping her archive her old clothes because, you know, Carrie, the once a month article writer. Oh, and that's another thing. My wife pointed out, good point earlier, when Carrie made a reference to, how does my young neighbor afford an apartment in this building? And Jamie was like, oh, did she not write one article a month somewhere? I'd like, how do you afford this fucking building that you've lived in since before you were inherited Big's dead money? You know,
it is like, Carrie, why don't you buy the brownstone and literally have no one else live in it? You have that kind of money.
John, you know, my dream is to just buy a building and have like you live in it.
That'd be great. And because like this scenario that happens where Lily like runs away to Carrie's apartment and like, I didn't tell her where I was going, and I clocked that Carrie that Lily left her phone at the restaurant. So it's like, if Lily goes anywhere, she's incommunicado.
Right.
It turns out she went to the one place where she is reachable. Thank goodness.
Right. Also, that's something where it's like, I don't buy Lily would do that. She would grab the phone and run away. No kid is leaving with their. I wouldn't leave without my phone, even in a huff, much less younger people now. But yes, so she runs to Carrie, and Carrie's like, you know, let her sleep over here and whatever. And she has a talk with Charlotte, trying to sort of be the mediator with Charlotte to be like, you know, you saw me when I was in my 20s and what I was wearing, and this Lily's not doing that. And she's like, yeah, but she's 15, which is a good point. But like, also, I think as we find out later, Lily is, you know, she's trying on some gym clothes, but she's not on Euphoria. She's not some like insane drug sex kid in high school. She's like, she likes boys, and she's like trying, you know, she's just doing what kids do. Lily's not a problem.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about like the idea that, you know, we're sort of blessed, you and I, because we're at an age where all our shit's not on social or like whatever. Like, there's no.
My whole life is kind of, but yeah.
At this point, but like the awkward shit, shit is like, thankfully, like off in the past and like wasn't shared, couldn't have been like memed or anything like that. But yeah, this is like the sort of shit where it's like, man, I hope Lark fucking runs away to Kevin's house at some point. This is like the exact scenario where I'm like, she's probably not going to do this. She's probably going to do like fucking I'm Lark Daly, this is Jackass, this is the fucking I jump off the house stunt. And I'm like, God damn it, Lark, God damn it.
Dude, that's going to be so great. And also, I think that's one of the nicest ways that when you asked me to be Lark's godfather, that because you said one of the things you said was like, in my mind, when she runs away, she'll run away to her cool uncle in the city. You know, she'll run away, and you know, I would take care of her with my fucking life. But I would.
She'll have like a decent Rumspringa time. You'll get her fucked up, but you won't get her too fucked up.
No, and I would defend her with my life. But
you get her drunk enough where she's sick the next day and she's like, this sucks. I don't want to do this shit no more.
But I also know she's such a fucking rager of a baby, even that like she'd be like, this sucks, let's get a pizza and I'll do it again. Like I know that's not gonna, I don't think your daughter Lark is gonna be someone you can be like, you like that cigarette, smoke a pack, because she'll be like, can I have another pack? I think that's not God,
I've almost got enough camel cash for the lava lamp.
Now we're talking. John, take me to Carrie having this. She has this sleepover, and Lily's sleeping comfortably in the bed. Carrie's hearing blasting, bumping music. This is how I feel like I woke up mid-drunk at our college house all the time, and this would just be like in the living room. So it would be more like trancy stuff, but
instead of deep house.
Yeah, I don't know the difference between these things, but this is Carrie goes down to be like, can I tell them to stop partying? But it turns out there's not a party there. She pushes on the door opens, and
she breaks into the apartment.
Breaking in,
and she finds what seems to be some sort of futuristic space alien stereo system that and like a bunch, there's like fucking beer bottles and shit everywhere, like even in the vestibule or lobby or whatever. And inside the apartment, and excuse me, And we see the downstairs Nabe passed out on the couch, and the stereo is blasting. She figures out after
a great dress, passed out in a great dress. I'm never going to wear this dress, but I love the idea of being passed out and looking this glamorous. I have a feeling I never have, but yeah, she's like passed out looking perfect on the couch, and Carrie comes in.
It's sort of weird. Yeah, I wonder like the best way a guy could look passed out, because like a lady passed out in a dress is gonna look. It's gonna look. I got to be careful. My lawyers tell me I have to be careful. I can't say a passed out lady is gonna look good.
Yes,
but like. A guy in his suit's gonna look like a fucking like a bum, like a 19.
I don't know. I bet I've looked okay. I bet I've looked okay on like a New Year's. I bet I pulled off a decent. And I've seen you passed out plenty of times.
But none of them have been good. I mean, I'm just saying.
Good for me.
I almost got there.
I'm about to keep checking for cancer down there. I'm doing great.
So she goes down there. She's scoping out the apartment, checking out what goods she can steal. Honestly, she picks up a piece of mail, and I'm like, "Are you gonna steal this?" It's like a big ass. It's like a sizable package, aka the Harry.
You're not talking about Harry. Yeah, exactly.
And it has her name on it, and it's Aristotle Onassis or whatever. And she's like. I guess that like clicks for her. She doesn't say anything at the time, but she just sort of leaves. She turns down the music and then leaves.
And she maybe Googles it. I think one thing, the fact that she puts out the candle is a little bit of like mom taking care of someone or an aunt taking care of someone here, which I think is nice. You know,
that is nice. And we find out that the neighbor is a jeweler, a fancy jeweler from California, and that's why she's so rich that she can afford column writer's apartment.
Yes. So and then she finds her name from the package in her apartment, Googles it, finds out she's a stylish jeweler. She has this brief conversation with Seema where she says, her jewelry is amazing. Scarlett Johansson wore it on the red carpet. And then Seema says, Colin Jost, Scarlett Johansson's husband, is he's a real estate tease, by the way, which is this is really authentic how these people would talk and how rich people talk to each other. Anyone who's seen Real Housewives knows one person says something about their life and the other person doesn't ask a question or follow up. They just shout their own thing about what, like, tangentially off whatever they said. So Carrie and Seema are perfect in this way where they're just two selfish people shouting whatever their own stories are. That's never a conversation. It's just funny. This is my thing. This is my thing. So that's that. Then we get Charlotte talks to Lily. She has this conversation with Lily. Go ahead.
But just super quick, because Carrie's having this conversation on the phone with, I assume, Charlotte or Miranda, but I don't remember who. She's having this conversation on the phone about her cool neighbor. Oh, she's a jeweler. And Carrie's doing this while she's doing her smoke walk around the block. And she's wearing the babushka hat. And she's the smoking babushka. And then she comes back to her apartment just as her downstairs neighbor is going to leave. And it's like, oh, you're the smoking babushka or whatever. Yes. It's like, you look old as shit and your shit's all fucked up. And
you look old as shit. Your shit's all fucked up. I love you.
Yeah. And like, I'm in one way glad and in one way disappointed that we didn't have an MP King line where like the jeweler, the hot young jeweler's like, I really like your daring look of like wearing the dish gloves and the scarf around your head or whatever.
Yeah. No one else is bringing that look out. That's
no one else is. But that's like fun that, you know, Carrie's like, because she's like, you know what? I'm going to be cool and she's going to know I'm going to be cool. And then cut to, I'm the smoking babushka.
And then we get a quick scene about Charlotte and Lily, and Charlotte's doing I grew up in a place where we didn't talk about sex. We didn't talk about anything like that. So if you have any questions, go ahead. I want to know. And she says, does dad have cancer? Did you find any cancer? And Charlotte has a very good line delivery about like, no. And that's basically it. And I thought the main takeaway from that is that Lily is not as old as Charlotte is fearing that she is, because Lily is still she has some like she doesn't know that he was getting blown. She's still like naive in a bit of a childlike way. So she is getting older. She's, she's working that Finsta, but
she's working the Finsta. She's not doing the she's not asking about the male G spot.
No.
She's not asking about the frenulum on the penis or anything like that. So she's not like too into it. She's not too deep into it, which is like kind of weird for a 15-year-old, right?
That she's not
like, yeah, mom, I know you were fucking slobbing on dad's knob. I know all about it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Lily is trying to keep the illusion up.
Yeah.
Like 15 years old is like, you've seen some stuff. You know what's going on.
I mean, I don't know, but Lily's such. I feel like Lily's a good kid, and that doesn't mean you're a bad kid if you have seen some stuff. But I do feel like that my takeaway was like she's not as old as you're fearing. Then, John, this gets to the most important scene I think in the episode, where we get Miranda sits down with Steve at the couch.
Yeah, and Steve's watching the ball game, and it's, I don't know, man. It's like, all right, he's sitting down, he's watching the game, he's really in the fucking ball game, which is like, all right, it's a sports game, who gives a shit? You can pause it, you can pick it up later or whatever, but it's like, it just seems like, oh, he's really engaged in something where, now it doesn't seem like a great time, but when is a great time to divorce someone?
Yeah.
So she interrupts the ball game, and like, she's sort of shouting at him because he only has one hearing aid in, and he's like, what do you want? What do you want? Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, I'd want, where's your other hearing aid? And he has to go fucking find it in the couch cushions.
This is like, just like, I mean, this part is just like every time I go visit my mom and my Wally, it's just mom speaking louder than is reasonable to tell him to put in a hearing aid, where it's like, you're not saying this volume's not so he can hear. This volume is to punish him. This is like to make a point. And I was like, I was triggered by that. But he finds his hearing aid in the cushions, puts it in, and then they've got
to be uncomfortable, man. They do have to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm sure when the doctors told Steve about his hearing loss, it wasn't easy to hear.
God, just friggin'
Damn, Daniel. Damn,
I'm
Daniel.
so hot.
Just you loaded it up and you dunked that bitch home. Yep, it wasn't easy to hear. And she sits him down, and he's like, he does the thing where he says, you're not gonna ask, what are you gonna do, ask me for a divorce? And I
love this. This whole conversation was like, this did feel real. I wrote down
this is a good scene. This is good.
She's like, I love you, and his immediate response is, this ain't good.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, yeah, if someone just sits down and tells you, it's a compliment sandwich, folks.
Right.
I don't know if you're familiar with that concept, but we use it a lot in this house, where it's like, you start with, I'm going to say something good.
Yep.
Then come at you with some criticisms, maybe about 16 to 18 to 20 criticisms, and then finish it off with but you know what? I still love you. That sort of thing. But like, you start with, I love you, and it's like, oh, fuck, this is... And then, the change just come, and she's like, hold my hands. It's like, hold my hands. And he's like, nah, I don't want to hold hands. We never hold hands. We never hold hands. And he joking is like, what are you going to do, divorce me? And then she's like, I haven't been happy in a while. He's like, I do want my hands back. Yeah.
Can I have my hand back? Which makes 100%. Which makes 100% sense. And I will say, from the podcast I listened to, the MP King podcast, he said crew members handed out buttons that were Team Steve, Team Miranda the day they shot this. And they said the crew was hugely Team Steve, which it seems like our comment section on YouTube Live is also Team Steve. But this
isn't enough for me, Kevin. I need more. That's what she says.
Which I will say that's a valid, not complaint, but just like stance. It's a valid feeling to be like, whatever this isn't it. That makes sense, And he, to me, and cut me off if I'm getting to this too quickly, but this is like the line that hit me the hardest, maybe out of all of this, was Steve saying, you know, it's always been the case that I'm not enough, and then I'm kind of enough, and then I'm not enough.
Yeah. So she said, well, she's like, this isn't enough for me. And like, he's like, what isn't? Me? Am I not enough for you? And she's like, this isn't about you, it's about me. It's like, well, you're divorcing me. Like, it's I'm the one you're divorcing. So like, if this isn't enough, like, I'm the only other person here, you got to be talking to me. And the other thing I wrote was, because this was like, oh shit, she's like desperately trying to get him to admit to like, I'm not the only one here that feels this, right? She's like, are you happy? And he's like, what's happy? Which is like, to her point, when she says like, if you have to ask what's happy, then like you're not happy or whatever. But he's like, yeah, I'm not happy right now, but I'm happy, you know, in general.
Yeah, and I think that this is the thing where I was and I'm someone who like I respect Miranda's mental breakdown, you know, I do. And if it's not enough for you, that's the verdict, you know, that's the answer. It doesn't matter if it's fair, because life isn't fair, you know. But I do think I got a little mad. I think where I got most mad was Miranda telling him he's not happy. You don't get to tell Steve that this isn't enough for him, because Steve says he sort of thinks his way through it in this, where he says like, no, he says this is married life to Miranda. And she's like, oh, right. You know, well, you want 30 more years of this sitting on the couch? And he's like, kinda, yeah, I thought this was fine. And that's fucking valid too. It is also, you have to treat that as valid, that this is, you can't tell Steve that he's not happy, that this isn't enough for him when he says it is, you know, like, and and so that made me mad, like Miranda judging his version of like what's okay for him, you know, because they can both be right. It can be okay for him and not okay for her, and then that's tragic, that's life, you know. But like fucking, he's being sincere when he's like, yeah, I was, not only was I okay with this, at some point he says I'm good with it.
Yeah, well, that's what you were. Yeah, I cut you off. But yeah, you were saying that, like, you know, we've had our ups and our downs or whatever in our whole life. And like, there were times where I wasn't enough for you. And then sometimes I was just enough for you. And other times I was not enough for you. And like, I'm always trying to like fucking work my ass off to be at Miranda level or whatever. But like, in these last couple of years with Brady or whatever, like we have Brady, like we wake up, we go our own ways, we have our own lives, we come back, we talk about Brady for a little bit, we talk about whatever, we have our desserts, we watch some TV, and that's it. And that's married life. And it's like, yeah, I mean, God, I hope fingers crossed, guys. Like, shit, man. Like, yeah, I don't know what else is there. And he says that basically, or it's like, I don't know what you think is out there for you if it's not being with someone you love, or I guess who you think you love or whatever, who you can tolerate. And I think like, having quiet moments, having guys being able to have a quiet moment with someone is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's not easy to find. And I think Miranda's right that this isn't enough for her. Clearly, she's right. Like this doesn't work for her. Right. But he's right that this did work for him. And he then says, well, what do you think? Like, what do you think is out there? And listening to the podcast, MP King and the gang, they said, this is what gave Miranda, that was a dig. And it gave Miranda permission to reveal that she'd met someone else. And I'm like, who do you think is the fucking good guy here? Like the fact that they're like, you know, that, and that's what, because he was shitty in that moment a little bit, that let her be able to be like, actually, I've been fucking someone for a month, you know, and she does tell him, and we don't see how he reacts to that, but she says, well, actually, I've met someone else, you know. And
I guess there's like, I get the way they wrote it and the way they intended it, it could have definitely been, you know, and I guess if you're listening to what they're how they're explaining what they intended or whatever, where it's like, is he being shitty, being like, hey, are you kidding me? My name's Steve Brady.
Mm-hmm.
I'm as good as it gets.
Right.
There's nothing better. Is his name Steve Brady, by the way?
I think so. But I think
what's his kid's name?
Her kid's name is Brady, right?
Well, I thought she named him Brady after Steve's last name because they weren't together when she gave birth.
Right. Yeah. We should.
So is his name Brady? Anyway.
Yeah. B squared, bitch. Yeah.
B squared. That's good. But anyway, it's like if he's like, I'm Brady and you're not going to get anything better than me. So I'm taking my earbuds out and I'm watching the game again. See ya. Do what you want because I can get laid 7 days a week.
Right, but that was not what he was saying.
But yeah, it's just like to me, it was like, listen, I mean, you've hit the jackpot, lady. You have like a fucking cool. She keeps motioning around her own home, by the way, being like, is this enough? Is this palatial fucking New York mansion?
Brownstone. Yeah. Is this enough for you? By the way, my kid, who I hate and will not acknowledge the existence of, it matters nothing to me. I want to bring back Debbie, and I want Steve to get back with Debbie. That's what I want now. But John, I'm worried about, and I don't know if worried should be the right word, but I'm worried that this will trend to Miranda finding out that she can't have Che full time. And then being like, well, but Steve, you're okay if I just like live here and fuck Che. And then it turns into an open relationship, you know? And I mean, I'm like, I shouldn't say I'm afraid of that because like, if that works for them, fucking great. But also it just, I don't know. It almost feels too neat to me in some way. But Steve, I think Steve ultimately here was like, you don't get to come back to this, you know?
Oh, I mean, the way you're talking, Kevin, this opens the door to all sorts of like cool things that could happen where like fucking she brings Che in and then Che is like, because Che's bi or whatever, she's like down with whatever. So maybe she starts fucking Steve and maybe Steve's like, you know, doing things to her that no other man's ever done to her. And then all of a sudden Miranda's like, what the fuck? I threw it all away. I threw away my marriage and now my husband's fucking the person I was fucking. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. Yeah. But this, I think we agreed this was an important and good scene, right?
It was important. It was good. Yeah, just Steve being like, I don't know if I have enough juice to fucking rally for us again or whatever is like, it's sad, but it's like it feels accurate, and it's like
I thought that was a great line. We said I'm too old to rally for us again. Sort of leaning towards like he's been the thing keeping them together, you know. And he did. I should say, just quick caveat: he cheated on her before they confronted it, and then it was fine again.
Yeah,
but
30 years ago or 20 years ago,
right? And it was she wasn't into him then, you know, too. But
it just seems like Miranda's like, oh, you're a recovering alcoholic and like this crazy pandemic's going on. And it's like, yeah, you should probably be making all sorts of huge life decisions right now or whatever, instead of, I just don't want them to fucking, it would be a nightmare scenario if Che ends up like coming over all the time and then like Steve's like, oh, I gotta hear my fucking kid have sex and my wife have sex and I'm over here.
And I don't think that's gonna happen, hopefully, but it's all in play right now. So after this, when Miranda is talking to I think she's talking to Carrie on the phone, right, where she's like, she's in the cab on the way to get on a plane to Cleveland to go romantically surprise Che, right? Where she says, I didn't blame him. She says, I asked Steve for a divorce. She says, I didn't blame him. That's true. Then she said, I didn't make him feel bad. And I was like, you're a fucking sociopath. This is you letting yourself off the hook so hard. She did not blame him. Yeah, fine. But you didn't make him feel bad. You've just detached yourself from how you make anyone feel at this point. Like, you're just letting yourself off the hook in so many ways. She's lunacy at this point. She's a full-on Looney Tune. And like she says, when Carrie says, you know, like, well, whoever this is, happy to talk to you or something. And she says, I'm in a rom-com.
Yeah, she is delusional. This is like, she is in a psychotic break. a little bit, I guess, to one degree. And there was a point in this episode where when she was at Lobster Brunch, she was like, I'm going to talk to Steve tonight. And then cut to the next day and she's talking to Che, and it's like she put off talking to Steve for one day or whatever. But I was like, how dare you rob us of this conversation? Like, that's what my mindset was. And then this is the conversation. I'm like, I'm so glad they didn't rob us of this, but they robbed us of a little bit of it. And that little bit is her being like, I met someone. It is a non-binary person who was born a female or whatever. So like, a lot of people would probably classify me as a lesbian at this point, and perhaps I've been a lesbian my whole life. Like, what's his like? What like? What is he gonna react to that? Where it's like all he wants is for you to be happy, right? So like, you didn't make him feel bad because you told him you are now, and perhaps always have been a lesbian. So like, I'm sorry, Steve. Nothing you could have done could have like satisfied me sexually. Like,
sure.
And like, that's how I didn't hurt him.
You were DQ'd. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I guess we'll get to guess at what that conversation was like. But she seems to think that she came off smelling like roses, where I wouldn't be surprised if so she's off to go to Cleveland to fucking romance Che, and like, they absolutely are going to do a thing where she goes to Cleveland and Che is like fucking blowing pot smoke in some other person's face, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then
she's going to run into someone who is already with Che, and Che is like, yeah, no, I'm non-monogamous, which I thought was pretty clear. Also thought Miranda being married was clear, but yeah, I think that's 100% what's going to happen. Yeah, and it's just, to me, there is like, Miranda's in this like sort of crazy town of like, oh, I got this weight off of me, which I understand, like the positivity that comes with that. But the fact that she's not completely riddled by guilt over leaving Steve. And by the way, her child does not know they're getting divorced as she's on her way to meet Che. Like, I hate her kid. Her son sucks. But the fact that she's like running away there feeling great about herself without even addressing her kid, you're fucking nuts. This is hugely irresponsible in so many ways and borderline sociopathic. If you're just like, if you're not riddled with guilt over, even if you're doing the thing that's right for you and ultimately therefore right for everybody, if you're not hurt by how much someone you loved for so long and shared this much life with is hurt, like, oof. Like, you're gone. To me, I don't know where Miranda is, you know?
Yeah, it's they're really going out of their way to make her super unlikable and pursuing the other most unlikable person and doing dirty the person that's most likable. Yeah, it's bad on so many levels.
Yeah. And then, John, the last scene we get is
Carrie's going. This is Carrie descending the stairs, and her downstairs neighbor's having a fight with her boy, and it's getting kind of nasty. I don't know if it's getting full on physical, but the name calling certainly is not a good look on his part. He's like, "You fucking psycho," or whatever, as he's being shoved out the door.
Yeah,
and she's like, "I'll call the cops." And he's like, the cops don't come anymore, which is, I don't know. Ooh, don't like that.
Did they ever? Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. The police, the NYPD has a budget that is like more than the military of every country on earth except for 10, I think. And I got legit death threats and had to file a police report 6 weeks ago and haven't heard back. So that's how much the cops come through for you here. But maybe if they just maybe if you give the NYPD a budget above like England, above England's army, maybe they'll do their fucking job.
Well,
so
maybe if you give them a zip code that has a lot of zeros in it, they'll
sure, yeah, Manhattan zip code, possibly. So whatever, there's this confrontation, and then the guy leaves, and Carrie didn't mean to catch her downstairs neighbor in this sort of difficult scenario, but she did. And the neighbor is like, I'm so embarrassed right now, or I'm ashamed. And Carrie's like, yeah, it's dating in New York,
Yeah. And then the neighbor's just like, the neighbor's wearing something akin to like an Ariel outfit, I think, at this point, right? Where it's like a green long skirt and like a bra. But yeah, she's just like, you're pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the end of that. And that's what the show should be fucking called. That's the end of that.
And that's the end of that. The Sex and the City sequel. Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's a little bit of Carrie being like, oh, I've been sweating, appearing cool or being uncool in front of this girl. And it's like, no one's ever thinking about you as much as you're thinking about you. And she's got her whole life going on her, she has her whole life. She's not thinking about her upstairs neighbor. She was very nice to come up and be like, I'm sorry, we shouldn't be so noisy, and she seems like a perfectly friendly person who I wouldn't mind seeing this neighbor again in a future episode.
God, that's the question, isn't it? Is this going to be one of the people? Is this going to be? I mean, she's like a young person, so she's more of my demographic. She's more of a
John Daly who is 3 months younger than me, and that's it. And John, and just like that. As we see Carrie in her Paris dress. And just like that, I realized there are some things that should never be put into storage. And what are we talking about? It doesn't
really make a lot of sense.
What the fuck? What does that mean?
One thing that shouldn't be put into storage is acting cool to your downstairs neighbor.
I straight up was like, I have no idea what the fuck we're even supposed to be saying about this. Like, I don't know what it's I don't know what it's supposed to be. We have a Matt Gross in the comments saying, plot twist, Carrie starts a romance with the downstairs neighbor. Now you're writing like me and John Daly are writing.
I like that. She did see the guy as Noodle, the other guy. Maybe she gets with him.
Yeah.
The psycho, yeah. You know what? She doesn't know anything. This 20-year-old jeweler. Get with me. I'm a sex writer. People pay thousands of dollars to have dinner with me.
Yes. John, that's it. That's the episode. We did it. That's our first YouTube live. That's our YouTube live test, which we'll probably do in the future. Just patreon.com/Kevin and John if you want to join us for live streams in the future, and if you want to get bonus podcasts and bonus Carrie Diaries, we're working our way through Carrie Diaries over on the Patreon. Instagram, we're at Kevin at Sex and the City. It's on Instagram, and on Twitter we're at Sex City It's Pod.
We're at Sex City It's Pod on Parler. We're at Sex City It's
John on
you TikTok.
Should get us. You should be our Parler person. You should go put us on Parler and see how many people on fucking Parler want to listen to two dudes talk about Sex in the City.
Are we going to talk about the post-credit sequence?
Go ahead.
Did you watch that? It's where they have a zoom in on Big's urn in Carrie's closet, and it just starts rumbling around a little bit, and then it cuts to black.
Does the urn give off the vibe that it's like been ignored in favor of other dresses?
Yeah, it's been ignored, and he's getting pissed, and he's like, and then he's like super pissed about Harry getting to show his wiener on TV. And then he's like, wait a second, I'm Chris Noth. I'm Chris Noth Ghost, and I'm showing up back on the show, damn it.
He screams, I'm Chris Noth, I'm uncanceling myself.
I'm uncanceling myself. I'm showing my wiener to whoever, whenever.
Dude, I got in trouble for showing my wiener, and all of a sudden I leave the series and there's nothing but wieners top to bottom. John,
is that why they don't show wieners on TV? Because it is like sexual harassment. They made me watch these guys' wieners. I didn't want to see that. They're like little Louis C.K.'s.
John, honestly. Little Louis C.K.'s is the worst podcast on the subject. No, John, we got to see the wieners. They didn't make us see the wieners. We got to. John, what do you want to say before we close up shop here? We're closing up. I'm gonna have to have it.
Oh,
fuck. But it was good. It was good. We had a good time, I think.
Yeah, I thought we had a good time.
We had
a good time.
My
I just want to get it on the.
So I might need.
I did just super quick while we're just. While I have you here, I didn't know. I don't know if you ever actually told me. Is your marriage an open marriage or is it not an open marriage?
My marriage?
My marriage?
No, it is currently closed.
Currently closed marriage.
Yes. How about yours?
TBD. No, it's closed.
And by TBD, you mean that big dick. And you're talking about Harry fucking Goldenblatt, Mr. Big Dong himself. Thank you for listening, everybody. And thank you for our live show crew, the YouTube crew who showed up for our test episode. First time we've done this. We've done so many episodes. But first time we tried to go live, and we'll do that in the future for our Patreon friends at patreon.com/Kevin and John. And yeah, John, fucking 9, 10, 2 more episodes.
So Harry's got a surprisingly clean cut dick, I'll say.
I love that. I say two more episodes. And you're just like, about the dick. Hold on, let me
hold on. I got some more thoughts about
clean dick. Back with even cleaner dicks next week. Thanks, everybody. All right, just hit stop, and I'm just gonna hit end. Thanks, YouTube crew. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. John, are you gonna hit stop record?
I guess.
There we are. And so hopefully I might actually need your audio recording. We're still broadcasting on Zoom, so just wanted to say a quick yeah, this is just YouTube now, actually. So we're not even recording anymore. John, do you want me to say anything in the chat to YouTube people?
Thanks for coming. Please still listen to the episode, even though it will be the same material, I guess.
Yes.
Thanks for commenting, and I love you all. And will you be my Valentine? You have a couple weeks to think about it.
Yep. But yeah, this was fun. It's good. I wish if we ever had a full-time producer, we could have someone sort of monitor the chat for us, because we had thank you so much for everyone who got up in this chat, and and a lot of good opinions, a lot of good research in this thing. This is great. But yeah,
I'm afraid the people will be the common listener become too soft when we get our facts checked. They strive on our conjecture and our half-baked ideas.
We're not. This is never going to be a full fact-checked show. That's not. If you're listening to us, if you want facts checked, there's other shows to listen to. MP King's got his podcast. Yeah, we're not that. Yeah, we're people listen to us for other shit. So yeah, thanks everybody, and happy Valentine's Day. 2 more episodes. We got 2 more weeks of this, John. How about that?
How about it?